start, and just take one shoulder back. Let's just think about one side at a time, rolling that shoulder backwards, keeping everything else fairly square to your front, keeping the spine lengthened, and then place your hand on your shoulder and circle the elbow back. And just notice how that's feeling today. You could maybe put your other hand on your tummy. Your hips and waist downwards is pretty much staying still for this movement. I'm going to come forwards a little bit and then take the whole arm all the way back. And there might be a good old bit of clunking and crunching going on. And then let's swap sides. So just the shoulder. How does that feel? And then the hand on the shoulder, circling the elbow. Ooh, there's quite a lot of clunking and crunching going on for me today. And then the whole arm all the way back. So notice, to make it comfortable for the whole arm, you're going to want to turn that shoulder a little bit, and that's absolutely fine. Don't try and force the hips to stay square, just stay reasonably square. And then let's just take double arm circles. So what I've combined in this class as well is the 10 things to do every day. So a little update on the video from before, that's already on YouTube. So there's number 1, already done. 10 things to do every day, double arm circles, mobilising that rib cage and thoracic spine. So from here, let's reach up, trying to touch the ceiling, just about 4 of these, looking up at the ceiling, everything is lifted up. I'm going to tap my heels, my weight is forwards on the balls of my feet, stay looking up a moment, and then lower the arms, and then lower your eye line, and just feel this wonderful length in the spine. So that's what we're trying to create here. And then we're going to go straight into number 2 on the 10 things to do every day, which is interlacing your hands at the back of your head, bringing your elbows forwards, and I'm just going to turn sideways, and we're just going to push the head into the hands. In fact, I don't need to turn sideways because we're not doing anything else from there today. So just pushing the head backwards into the hands. If I take this arm away, I'm thinking about pushing this top back corner of my head up and towards the ceiling behind me, sort of at an angle. So I'm not there, and I'm definitely not there. I'm just drawing the chin back in and up, and just holding it for a little bit. So we're working on the muscles around the back of the neck, the deep neck flexors. You might get some activation there, you might notice something different going on. I'm just going to have a little think about my feet while I just do a couple more of these. So maybe applying pressure for about a count of 5, having a quick relax and then going again. Or if you can, if you're used to this movement and it feels okay, just keep it there all the time. While I'm talking, we're just switching on those muscles, heightening our awareness, trying to counteract our everyday forwards head carriage, which we all have. Brilliant. Okay, let's go nice and wide with those feet now. Insteps are parallel, reaching up again, but try and start with your other side this time. Noticing, do you always lead everything with the same side? I absolutely do. And I really have to think about not doing it when I'm trying to do a class, especially when I'm doing class for myself. It's different when I'm teaching because I'm thinking about other stuff, but so I will always lead everything with my right arm and my right foot, and so this time I try to lead with my left arm, holding both arms up again, and then let's drop one arm down, leave the other one up, and just go into flowing side bends. So reaches up, shoulder rolls, things that I try and do in pretty much all my classes. It just feels right for me. It feels like a good way to prepare the body for exercise and for movement. And especially before you take side bends, it's good to lift the rib cage off of the hips. So let's add on to this a little bit. I'm going to roll my head around, let that arm drop down, and then lift the other arm up the other side, and continue over again. 3 or 4 in the same direction. For the moment, I'm just rolling my head around, sort of my head's rolling across my shoulder girdle, if you like. And the idea is to take a side bend here, relax, and another side bend here. So try and look underneath that arm as you come up. I'm going to change direction. Over to the side, let the head roll around. My knees are slightly soft, going in the same direction. So sort of, I call this windmill arms when we keep going in the same direction. Going to go another 4 each way, and this time bend your knees, and if you're comfortable, go all the way down to the floor. If that's too much for the moment, just go to your knees, or stick to the last level, or if even that's too much, just lower your head a little bit. I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to make it a nice big one, all the way down, and then change in direction. Over to the side, relax your head when you're at the base of the movement. Try the different positions as well. So for me, if I'm just going to my knees, I get a bit more of a stretch around my ribs at the back than if I go all the way down to the floor. It sort of gets missed off a little bit. I'm going to take one more, last one, over to the side, looking underneath that arm as you come up. Fantastic. Okay, looking at footwork today. For our next thing. When I got up Monday morning, I was thinking, oh, just coming down the stairs just feels, for me, that's the first thing where I feel a little bit tight, I guess, in my feet and my ankles. And coming down the stairs that first time in the morning is the sort of the thing where I really notice how my body's feeling that day. It completely changes over the day. So I just wanted to work a little bit on that. So let's start with our feet just close together in steps parallel. Rise up onto the balls of your feet, and we're just going to lower one heel at a time. And as you lower that heel, trying to control it, so not just landing on that heel, trying to lower with control, which I wasn't doing. You need to pitch your weight slightly forwards to start. As I'm lowering that heel, I'm bending over my toe joints on the other foot. So lifting up, bending, and it's quite a nice stretch underneath your arch. Feels quite nice. Good. Then we're going to just take some walks, and I just want you to sort of walk on a tightrope. So I'm just going to go along the edge of my yoga mat here. In fact, I might go a little bit further over. Someone said they couldn't really see my feet very well when I did this the other day. So I'm going to go on this back edge, and I want you to just put your heel down in front of your toes of your other foot. So it's quite wobbly. If you've got a handy wall, that might help as well. We're just going to transfer the weight forwards and then peel the other heel off and put that in front. So going through, I want you to feel like you're peeling the foot off of the floor. And I'm going to change back the other way. So on a tightrope, think about the balance through the feet. When we take this next movement, it's going to be quite strong on the balance. So as I'm doing this, let's do one more each way. I'm thinking about whether my ankle is rolling from side to side. There's a lot of activity going on in the foot. So I call this movement, this next movement, the Fred Flintstone, because it's like your feet are sort of doing this strange thing underneath your body, and there's no effect on the upper body. So if you come back to this one that we just did, you can see my head lifting and lowering because I'm landing on a straight leg. So I want you to just bend your knees and raise the heels and keep your head at the same height. And then we're going to come back to this is the Fred Flintstone walks now, not necessarily on a tightrope, but do put your heel down close to your other toe. If you take too big a step, you really can't balance very well. So I'm keeping my head on the same line and putting that heel down, transferring through, completely on that leg. I'm going to lift the heel and then put the next foot down. Lift the heel. So for half of this movement, more than half actually, maybe half, yeah, you're totally on one leg. I would ask you to moonwalk back, but that's not quite what I'm after today. So putting the heel down, transfer the weight. When my centre of gravity, my plumb line is over that ball of that foot, I'm going to lift that heel. The other leg is off the floor by that point. My head is staying at the same point. I can even turn the corner as I do it. And then if you can, get a little bit faster. And if you're just joining me and you have no idea who I am, this is just one of my weirdo little exercises. Honestly, it's really relevant to everyday life. Okay, give the feet a bit of a shake there. Great. Good. Hopefully you enjoyed that anyway. It's a good bit of fun. So on to number 3 of our 10 things to do every day, which is one leg stand and balance. We're going to, I would start on your weaker side for your one leg stand and balance. We're going to take, tap the leg out in front of you. And in fact, I'm going to go sideways on and just show you. I want you to pretty much keep this moving leg still for the moment. We're just going to bend and straighten as much as you can. Now this is my rubbish side, so I've got my hand just touching the wall lightly to give me a bit of assistance. If you've got a chair nearby or something that you want to use, that's absolutely fine. The focus is bending this knee as much as you can, with the knees and the ankles going in line with your toes, and then fully straightening the leg. As you know, some of you will know, I have got a rubbish Achilles length, so I've got my bend. This is it really. I would like you to try and keep that heel down. Spine is staying lengthened in neutral. My torso, my tissue box is staying in the same shape. There's no change either side. And then I'm going to add on to that, still on this same side, you're going to point the foot forwards, tap the floor. Tap your toes next to each other, take the leg out to the side and lift and tap. So every time I'm tapping my toes to the floor, I'm bending this knee as much as I can, and then I'm straightening that leg fully in between. One more out to the side, and then come back to the centre. Let's try all that on the other side. So keeping that leg still for the moment, bending and straightening. Bending and straightening. Why my t-shirt keeps getting moved. So I'm looking in the mirror, my chest is staying square, hips are staying level, my knees are going over my toes, there's wobbling about, it's really quite difficult. I'm bending as much as I can, and then I'm fully straightening that leg. It's hard work on this leg. Couple more. If you need a bit of support, absolutely fine. You could even do this maybe at another time, just with one fingertip on the wall, square to the wall, so that you know that you're staying absolutely in line. Yep, on up that leg. So let's move the other leg now. So we're going to tap in front and centre, straighten to the side and centre to the back. There's a very slight pitch forwards, and centre and side and centre. Good job. Back to your first leg. Let's go twice through on this leg. So we're taking the leg forwards first. So we've got bend, straighten, bend, straighten. Maybe pop your hands on your hips, going to the back, thinking about that alignment. This is really strong. One more round. We're going forwards and to the side. And to there. I think I've got my sequence a little bit out then. So we're bending each time we're tapping that toe, and swap sides. So we're here. Forwards and centre, side and centre to the back. Fully bending, fully straightening. So if you've got really good long Achilles, your bend is going to be much deeper than mine, and I'm probably going too fast for you. I'm going quite fast because I'm trying to get it over with, because this is really tough. One more, to the side. Great job. Okay, our grand finale. I used the wall the other day, but I'm going to try and do this in the centre, is to take a broken down rise and plie on this one leg stand, completely just leaving the other leg to, I'm touching my working leg. So I'm going to bend my knee as much as I can. Then I'm going to raise that heel. Keeping the heel up, I'm going to straighten my leg and lower the heel with control. 2 more. Bending the knee, knees are over the toes. I'm raising my heel, lifting, straightening and lowering, bending, raise that heel, lifting up, straightening. 3 more times in the reverse direction. So up to the top first. Bend the knee, push the heel down and straighten. Keeping that other leg off all the time. To the top. Bend the knee, push the heel down and straighten. 1 more of those. To the top, bend the knee, push the heel down and straighten. I'm going to congratulate myself there that I didn't fall off, and that's supposed to be my rubbish side. It may be tonight, I'll be the other way around today. So, on the other leg, keep everything square, bend as much as you can, raise the heel, straighten that leg fully and lower. Bend, raise the heel, straighten and lower, bend the knee, knees are over your toes, raise the heel, straighten and lower. Well done, that's that first 3 in that direction. Last 3, lifting up, bend the knee, push the heel down and straighten, lifting up, bend the knee, push the heel down and straighten. Last 1. I hope you're still with me. Don't give up on it. And yeah, great. So if that was a real challenge, try and practice some of those. Really good strengthening the feet and the ankles and your alignment and everything. Okay, so where are we now? Okay, I've jumped a little bit there, but that's absolutely fine. Okay, so we've done our side bends. Let's take some rotation in the form of a loose bow and arrow. But in fact, I'm going to come forward a little bit first. Let's take some loose swimming first. So one arm going up and back, the other arm at the same time coming forwards, opening up shoulders, hips and ankles, and then let's go forwards. When you take the forwards one, so if like you're doing front crawl, watch that you don't lean or change those hips from side to side. Just a few of those, and then I'm going to turn slightly sideways to the camera. We're going to take a loose bow and arrow. So stretching the arms forwards, I'm going to pull this elbow back. Take this arm along the inside of the other arm, across my chest. I'm going to turn my head and look behind me and then square up. Going the other way, this arm stretches forwards. And then I come across my chest, look behind me and back to the front. So everything opens up. As always, you're opening up, shoulders, hips, ankles are rotating, but staying as upright as you can with that spine. 1 more to the last side and back to the centre. Great job. Okay, let's take some sumo squats. I'm going to stay sideways on. So feet are quite wide, wider than shoulder width apart, toes are slightly turned out, legs are slightly turned out in the hip socket so that you can come into this position, which I call the sumo squat. Basically you're bracing over your legs, fingertips are in, elbows are out, shoulders down, your spine is in its natural curves. This should feel good, it should feel supported, should feel strong. You're there and coming up again. Sending that bottom back, and then let's hold this position here. Unravel your spine. Over your chest goes over your thighs, your head relaxes down last. Now I want you to reverse that movement, like we're rewinding the tape. Back to your sumo squat, and then come upright. And again, sumo squat, unravel. I'm supporting my back on with my hands and my arms on my legs. Lift the back of the head and neck. Lift the chest, lift the shoulders coming up. And again, let's flow a little bit more this time. All the way up and lift and there. Be aware of when you're in the correct position. So here is, you know you're in the correct position. You've unravelled. When you lift that head, don't lift it all the way up there. It'll feel awful anyway. You're going to crunch the back of your neck. Keep the back of the neck long. When the head can't go anymore, that's the point to lift the shoulders up and then coming up. One more for luck. Here we go. All the way down. Lift the back of the head and neck, and then we're all the way up. Great job. Okay. Right, we're pretty much onto the floor next. I'm in good time so far to keep within the hour. So I'm just going to move my monitor a little bit so that you can see. So we've got some nice stretches coming up. Put your laptop a little bit closer to the floor if you need to. Starting with a wide leg hip hinge. I'm going to go this way to start with. So my wide leg hip hinge, so feet are parallel, almost as wide as my mat. In fact, I'm going to come over across a little bit, and then I can actually stand on it. So let's take a hip hinge. Hinging from your hips, remember it does what it says on the tin. And then we are keeping the back of the head and neck nice and long. Tapping those heels, so you've pitched the weight slightly forwards, coming up again. Let's pop the hands on the shoulders. Heighten your awareness that when you pitch forwards, you're not letting these shoulders round. Keep them in that beautiful square box position. Holding it there, breathing, just finding where you are today with those hamstrings. If they're really sore, just don't go too crazy with this. Sometimes I think we're over exercising and over stretching a little bit in these times, sort of compensating a little bit. If every time you go into these hamstring stretches it feels really quite sore, then maybe just give them a rest for a couple of days. So if you can from here, if you're all good, we're going to take the hands from here forwards. That's going to increase the stress on your lower back because you've got your arms forwards. And then what I'd like you to do is try and bend your knees. Take your whole body down towards the floor like a platform, and then straighten the legs and lift back up again. So lowering arms and chest like a platform and then lifting back up again. And lowering down. This time I'm going to stay here. I'm going to let my toes go out and open out my knees. And I'm going to keep my arms forwards and just drop my hips down. So now we're coming into our deep squat. Number 4 of 10 things to do every day. And I'm just taking a slight movement from side to side. I'm going to bring my feet back to parallel. As you know, I'm not. I'm just going to drop my hands down to the floor, keeping my feet out wide. I'm going to take my weight forwards onto my hands a little bit and then rock back. So I've actually got my heels down, which is quite good for me at the moment. You might not be there. So to practice your deep squat, you might need to hang on to something like a table leg or something that's really quite secure, just so that it can give you that little bit of weight. So if I was hanging on to this corner, which isn't really much help to be honest, but I would drop my hips down and I've got my heels down, and then I can just move from side to side. So I'm sort of doing that here, but my legs are really wide and actually my heels are coming off a little bit. So bring your weight forwards onto your hands. Maybe bring your feet in a little bit more. So you're in more of a crouch position. So if I come to face you forwards, I'm here. And I just want you to let your weight pitch forwards onto your hands. So just taking your shoulders over your hands. And just apply some stress through those wrists. Make sure your fingers and thumbs are wide apart. And we're going to, if you can and or you want to, this might not suit you, but if you can, I'd like you to just touch your knees, push your knees inwards so that they're just resting on top of your shoulders. And you're just going to take that weight forwards and over a little bit. Preparation for the crow might not be something that you would like to do, but it's just a good stress for the hands, for the shoulders, for that upper body strength. And it's should be relatively comfortable as long as you use that inside bit of your knees to push against your elbows. And it's almost like they sit on top. I'm not trying to lift my feet up or anything, I'm just taking that weight forward slightly. From there, if you can, all part of the moving better every day and being able to move around on the floor really freely, take your weight forwards onto your hands, bring that knee in and just roll sideways onto your hip and then come back into your crouch position. Take the weight forwards onto the hands, drop the other knee in, come onto your hip. We're going to use this movement again, a similar movement at the end of class. So you're just there, coming back. So what I like about this is just all the adaptations you're doing in your feet, your ankles, your toes, your hips, your wrists, your shoulders. There's no right or wrong. Just play about with it. Use your body. Go to the extremes. Okay, well done. Let's come back to. I'm going to go this way on my mat. So feet nice and wide. Same sort of thing. Let's go from side to side. Same sort of thing when we turn. If we're going to turn from side to side, I want you to just be comfortable moving around on the floor. So my legs are really wide, almost as wide as the mat. Toes are going out to the corners, knees are going over the toes. My hips, as I go from side to side, are staying at the same height. What I mean by that is I don't want you to straighten and then bend. I want you to swap from side to side. It's a strong stretch in the groin. Actually, it's a strong stretch all around the legs. And then we're going to turn to one side. Here's that adapting at your toes, your ankles, your knees, your hips. Just turn all the way around to the side so that you've got this knee above your ankle. Drop the knee down and just lift your chest, driving those hips forwards, almost like you're taking a bit of a back bend here. But don't feel uncomfortable in that lower back. Make sure you're lifting up nice and tall, but driving those hips forwards. So that hip flexor stretches. We spend way too much time sitting, probably more time sitting now, especially if you're working from home, sitting at the desk or on the computer all the time, than we've probably ever done before. We're not nowhere near as active as we would like to be, apart from our exercise classes, which we're probably overdoing a little bit. So lifting up, and then let's just curl those toes under, take your weight onto your hands, twiddle around to the other side. Adjust your foot position, adjust your knee, get your toes in line, your ankles sorted, drop that knee down, lift the chest, and you should feel a strong stretch at the front of this hip. Just breathing, relaxing. So that's number 5 of things to do every single day. So another way to do that one as well, standing, just tucking under and then tucking that pelvis under is a really good way to do that. But you don't need to come up. We are coming onto all fours. I've just turned around the other way. So this is a bit of a strong strength section. We did this last week, I think. So we're going to go from the plank. We're going to lift our knees off. No, not sorry. You're going to go from all fours. You're going to lift your knees off, extending into the plank. We're going to add some arm movements as well, and then coming down onto your elbows. So 6 sets all together, once each side. So from your square, beautiful, perfect box position. So spreading the fingers and the thumbs far apart, almost dig the fingertips into the floor a little bit. So breathe a bit of life into your palms. Make sure your shoulders are over the front of your shoulders are over your fingertips. You're not back here. Those knees are underneath your hips. Curling your toes under. Your back is in its natural curves. There shouldn't be any change when you curl your toes under and lift those knees off and just hold it and hold it. Keep those shoulders sliding down in your back. Notice how when you lift those knees off, you could have your feet flat, by the way, you could be here. Notice how you really strongly draw your belly button tight towards your spine, your rib cage connects to your hips, you're bracing in your centre. Keeping that spine absolutely in a great neutral position. Couple more breaths. Okay, and lowering. So we're going to keep coming back to that position in between each set. Make sure the hands are quite wide to start with, fingertips facing forward, so just outside your shoulder width apart. So we're going to lift the knees off, hold it there, and then you're going to straighten one leg and then the second leg into the plank. So just straighten the leg out, straighten the other leg, holding it in the plank. Nothing has really changed apart from you straighten those legs. Bring the first knee back in, keep it hovering. Bring the second knee back in, keep it both knees hovering, then lower. Don't collapse completely. Repeat, leading with the other leg. Knees are off. Straighten, straighten. Hold it there a moment. Bend that first knee back in to a right angle. Second knee back in and lower those knees. Here we go again. This time we're going to move the hands when we're in the plank. Knees are off. Straighten one leg. Straighten the other leg. Bring your hand in so it's underneath your face. Other hand in to touch it. First hand goes back out. Second hand goes back out. First knee comes back in. Second knee in, hovering, lowering. Woo. On the other side, knees off. Straighten and hold. Straighten and hold. Hands in, hand in, hand out, hand out. First knee in, second knee in. Lower those knees. Make sure you're not holding your breath. This time we're going to come down onto the elbow if you can. This is the last set. Give it a go. Knees are off. Holding that there. Straighten the first leg. Straighten the second leg. Down onto your elbow. Down onto the other elbow. Keep them close. Onto the first hand. Onto the second. Knee in, and lower. It's quite hard to talk and do that last bit. Last one, here we go. Knees are off. Straighten, straighten. Elbow down. Push the hand out, push the hand out. Knee in, stay hovering, lower those knees. Good job. High five if you did that whole set. Well done. Brilliant. So all fours knee lifts, just the bracing on all fours, number 6 of 10 things to do every day. So we're nearly done, we've nearly done the whole lot here. Okay, we are going into a seated C curve. So, from here, sitting up really nice and tall, holding onto the backs of your legs. So we're rounding that back, scooping the tummy. I want you to sort of go back into a bit of a balance here today. So you've gone way past your sit bones, you're on your sacrum, and then pitch the weight forwards. Stay in your rounded position until your shoulders are over your hips. Sit tall and just take a little chest lift. Not the little R where you go all the way back, but just a little extra lift of the chest and the face up towards the ceiling. So rounding the back. Come to a balance point. So you should just be able to just tap those toes. Everything is rounded. My arms are rounded, my elbows are lifted, my tummy is scooped, back of the head and neck is long, back down, shoulders over the hips, sitting tall, lifting that chest. Good. We're going to take an open leg. We're building up to an open leg rocker, but we're going to take an open leg rolling like a ball. So come to that position. And then lift your legs up a little bit higher. Lift your legs up a little bit higher. From here, I want you to try and lift your chest up a little bit. So my legs are bent, but my feet are more lifted than normal. My pelvis is tucked under, I'm in that C curve, but my feet are lifted, I'm lifting my chest. From here I'm going to round my back, stay in that curve, and then, yeah, okay, well done, Mandy. And then we're lifting into a balance. So sometimes you overshoot, sometimes you don't get quite up high enough. This is the bit that I'm interested in. This initial, send your waistband at the back towards the mat, round the back. I'm sort of hanging off my legs. It creates the perfect shape, and I'm in perfect balance as well. I didn't do my chest lift then, so there to here, and then lifting that chest. One more of those, that variety. So if that's okay for you, let's go a little bit harder. Try and straighten those legs out. Same thing. You don't have to be holding up here. You could have the legs slightly bent, but see if you can get those arms quite straight and the feet up higher. So from here, I'm going to hang off of my legs. I'm going to let that lower back really round. I've created the shape. And then, whoa, I needed to bend my legs. When I'm back onto the upright position, I'm going to try and lift that chest. So rounding. So it's made quite a difference to my balance and how much oomph I need. Nope, not enough. To get back onto those sit bones. And again, I've had to bend my legs there. Have a little go. Lifting the chest all the way up. Round the back. That time I used my breath. I breathed out as I went back, and I breathed in as I lifted the chest, finishing the movement off. That seemed to help. Woo. Oh, nearly. I'm going to do one more for luck. Lifting the chest if you can, round that back, rolling all the way back. Oh, damn. Breath out. And we are there. Good job if you've managed all of that. Well done. Okay, we have got our bridges. Although I'm looking at the time, maybe, I think I'm going to have time to do one more exercise. Yes, let's go for some. Let's go rounding that back. Hold on to the backs of your knees. Round all the way down to the floor. So you're in that C curve, everything is rounded. I'm tucking under with my lower back. I'm going to hang on to this knee and pull it in towards my shoulder. This shin is parallel to the floor, this leg is nice and straight. Both feet are pretty much at the same height. I'm hanging on for dear life here. This is my support to keep that upper body up, to keep that C curve of my back. I'm swapping, I'm going to hold it here a moment. So compressing in this hip joint, pulling this knee in, trying not to let the leg rotate out, keep it nice and parallel. Shin is parallel to the floor, that foot, both feet are at the same height. I'm hanging on here for dear life. And now we're going to switch, and switch, and switch. So this is strong work. Use your hands on your knee to really pull in and help you stay up there. Keep that chin tucked in, stay looking forwards. If you can, and it's going to be much harder, we're going to go fingertips, no, we're going to go hands at the back of the head actually. We're going to switch. Keep the elbows in nice and tight. So I haven't got that support of hanging onto my knee anymore. So it makes it really difficult. We're going to take 3 of these. 3, 2, 1. You're going to lift. No, you're not. You're going to stay there. You're going to extend that leg out and bend it back in. And then I'm going to go 3, 2, 1. So the bent knee, straighten it, lift it, bend it in. Go again. 3, 2, 1. The bent knee, straighten it, lift it, bend it in. 3, 2, 1. Bent leg, straighten, lift, bend it in. 2 more sets. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Straighten, lift and bend. Last set. 3, 2, 1. Straighten, lift and bend. And have a little collapse. Let that head roll from side to side. Let your legs roll from side to side. Good job if you manage that one. I wanted to fit that in on Monday, but completely ran out of time. Okay, great. Let's take some back into 10 things to do every day. The bridge, a nice straight bridge. We're going to change the leg position. So come down onto your back, think about your neutral spine, think about your weight on the feet, through the feet. So big toe joint, little toe joint, heels, all in line with each other. Have your feet quite close to your hips. Collarbone open, shoulders relaxed, spine in its natural curves. Let that rib cage draw down and be heavy. Don't force it, but just keep that there. Make sure you're in a good neutral pelvis, and then let's just push down through those heels mainly, but also think about pushing down through your big toe joints, all the way up to the top, opening up front of the hips, switching on the glutes, and then come straight back down. Up to the top, and straight back down. Up to the top, and straight. Let's stay at the top. You're going to lift your heels up, keep your toes where they are, bring your heels together, so toes, now you're in a turned out first position. Knees are going over the toes. I feel like I want to bring my feet a little bit closer to my butt. Because the knees have gone out to the side now, hopefully you can get those hips up a little bit higher. Open up, relaxing that collarbone. You're going to switch on and switch off at your gluteal fold. So we're firing up the back line of our body. This is number 7, the bridge and strengthening the back line of the body is number 7 on our 10 things to do every day. So I'm switching on and switching off. Every time I switch on at the gluteal fold here, I'm squeezing my heels together a little bit more. Squeeze those heels together, squeeze. Good. Then I'm going to release the heels, come back to a parallel position with my feet, trying to keep those hips up nice and high. Make sure the ribs are soft, drawn down, connected to your hips. Lift the heels up all the way, but in a parallel position now. Take your squeezes. Switch on, switch off, switch on. About 10, but I'm not really counting. Don't tend to count, but hopefully you should feel some nice work going on. Watch that those ankles aren't rolled out. Think about the big toe joint being equally weighted, as equally weighted as the little toe joint. One more set here. Lower those heels, lift the front of your foot up, lift your toes up so you're digging your heels in. Last one, you should really be able to feel hamstrings joining in a little bit now. Switching on, switching off at the gluteal fold. Keep those legs really parallel. Push down through those heels. And just breathing. Ooh, should feel some good activation going on there. And let's just come down. Maybe hug those knees in. I feel like I want to just take a circle with my legs, both directions, massaging that lower back. You might feel like you need to hug your knees in and round out that lower back. I feel a good firing up going on there. So that was number 7. Brilliant. Let's lie on our side for number 8, which is basically working your inside thighs rather than always being on a front and back plane. We need to get those inside thighs working, pelvic floor, groin area nice and strong. So setting both legs up, top leg is level with your hips. You're going to lower the underneath leg and lift it back up to the top. When you lift it up, let's point the foot, flex the foot when it's there to lower. Point to lift, flex to lower. Point to lift, flex to lower. Try and keep the top leg really still. Make the underneath leg, and it's tough, make it lift up to touch that top leg. If you can, keep your waist lifted away from the floor, from the mat. Let's take one more of those. Both legs are up at the top. Holding both legs up, now lift and lower both legs. In fact, let's flex. Let's do the same movement actually. Pointing as you lift up, flex as you lower. Point as you lift, flex as you lower. Just wondering what the next part of this is. Lifting and lowering. Oh yes, both ends. Good. Now we're just going to try, and this is tough again, going to keep those legs, feet pointed. You're going to lift your legs up and at the same time lift your upper body up. So you're sort of creating a bit of a curve there. My head and my feet are at the same height. Pushing down on that underneath arm. Trying to stay sideways. This is strong work in the side of your back. Couple more if you can. And lowering. Last one. All the way and lower. Good job. Twiddling round so that you're facing the other direction. So a beautiful straight line. Shoulders and hips stacked, waist lifted, both legs up. Check that your top foot is level with that top hip, and then the underneath leg is going to do all that work. So lower it to the floor. Point to lift, flex to lower. Point to lift, flex the foot to lower. All the time I'm thinking about lifting the crown of my head away from my feet. Really making sure I'm lifting that underneath leg up, not lowering the top leg down each time to join that underneath leg. No cheating. So this is working inside thighs, one half of your pelvic floor. Keep this top shoulder down and away. Great, then we're going to keep both legs together. Same movement with the feet. Flexing to lower, pointing to lift. Now it's much harder to keep my waist from collapsing every time I lift those legs up, but I'm trying to keep that length in my torso. Underneath leg is still working really hard. Imagine the underneath leg is pushing the top leg up towards the ceiling. Great, one more of those, pointing those feet, lifting up, flexing the feet and lowering down. Keep the feet softly pointed. Now we're lifting both ends. Really trying to stay sideways. So I'm letting this top hand just draw in a little bit. Oh, it's very easy, two more if you can, to go banana-y on this one. So no twisting. Imagine from above you're still in a wonderful straight line. I think that was the last one. And lowering down. Should have felt that in the sides of your back, the big old muscles there. Brilliant. Okay, we are on to our last couple of exercises, or our last two things of the 10 things to do every day. So we're going to lie on our tummy. We're going to take the Sphinx first of all, which is the number 9 in the 10 things to do every day. And it's basically about this part of your upper back, your thoracic spine, your rib cage spine, and just trying to get it moving in the opposite way to how we are every day. So all of our sitting, as we've already talked about, we've got the forward head carriage and we've got the rounded upper back position. So we're trying to get this to go the other way. Trying to sort of fold over here, like when we do the chest pops when we're standing up. So as you know, hopefully, when you come down onto your tummy, your back is quite extended, but that's absolutely fine. In fact, I want that to happen. So get those elbows underneath your shoulders, open up the legs a little bit, get yourself comfortable, push the pubic bone into the mat a little bit, and then try and lift up as much as you possibly can. So you're thinking of lifting the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. And then imagine that your rib cage is a lift, and it's going up and down in the shaft of your arms, if that makes sense. So my rib cage lift is going down to ground floor, which is the mat, and then I'm lifting up towards the top floor. It's not a very high, not very many floors on this building, maybe 3, but we're there, and then lifting up. Allowing that rib cage to completely collapse down, but sort of against the pillars. It's like your arms are pillars. Okay, so holding up is where we want to be. Lifting up, and that might be enough for you today. Just hold that position. Make sure you're lifting out of your lower back, but if you're feeling uncomfortable in the lower back, draw the belly button back towards the spine, lift the pelvic floor a little bit, just to support the lower back. Push the pubic bone into the mat a little bit. And then if you can, just place your hands flat on your mat or on the floor. And I want you to have a sense of drawing your hands back, the whole of your lower arm actually. It's like you're trying to slide along the floor. You won't go anywhere, but if you can see, I'm very slightly rucking up my mat here. But what I'm actually trying to achieve is pulling the front of my chest through my arms, and then that will cause a bit of a fold in that upper back. Not much, it's not a very big movement. So just draw that through. So it's like you're doing your chest pops. It doesn't go very far. It can be quite frustrating. So lifting through, trying to pull the chest forwards and through. Okay, well done. Have a little look at the next bit before you lie down. We're going to lie down on your tummy. This is what I was going to say earlier actually. Because you've come from this position, you've come from a back extension. So when you do lie down, make sure you tuck the ribs in and you connect everything where it should be, even though you're lying on the floor. You're going to take your arms out to a high V, palms are down. Hands are slightly wider than your shoulders. Just watch me for the movement. We're going to take swimming. I'm just going to have my tip of my nose starting touching the floor. Then I'm going to lift the head up, just so that my head, back of my neck becomes in line with my shoulders. We're going to alternate opposite arm and leg with no movement in the shoulders. We're just going to get a little bit quicker on that one. So assume the position, connect the rib cage down. Lift your leg up each side, and just loosen up the hip joint sort of thing, and then switch on. Push your pubic bone into the mat, can make that connection with your hip bones. Tuck your chin in, the tip of your nose is touching the floor, arms are wide, shoulders are drawn down, so activate those shoulders. Open up the legs to hip width apart, maybe slightly turned out, and then just lift one arm and the opposite leg off of the floor and lower. Lift and lower. Sorry, I forgot to say to you, lift the back of the head and neck first so that you're in line, the back of your neck is in line with your shoulders. You're not lifting up anymore, you're still looking down at the floor, and stay there with the head and the shoulders. There's no change as you lift the arm from the shoulder, the leg from the hip, lifting and lowering. Think about your shoulders and your hips. I want them to stay parallel to the floor, so there's no rocking and rolling, there's no tilting from side to side as you do this. And the way to keep your torso still and not to have any of that rotation is to stay connected. Even at the front of your body, although it might feel like the floor is doing all the work, draw the rib cage down to connect to your hips. Okay, let's have both arms and both legs up at the same time, changing the focus slightly. You're going to lower to touch the floor, but then lift straight back up. So you're tapping the floor with the opposite arm and leg. So we're holding up all the time. Now this is much stronger on the muscles in your back. Make sure you're breathing. Focus is up off of the floor, like the floor is too hot. You can't rest your arms down. I'm getting a little bit quicker. I'm tapping, 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 tapping. Going even faster now. And now I'm just splashing an inch of water at my hands and my toes. You can hear my feet on the floorboards. Tapping, 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 trying to keep that body still. See how fast you can go. Don't forget to breathe. Keep those shoulders down. And enough. And relax. Well done. Brilliant. Oh, I'm rounding that back up to come up onto all fours. Let's take a spine circle. I always feel like I really want to go into like a cat stretch when I've been doing that sort of work. Just feels so lovely to stretch that out. Brilliant. So we are on time. I'm very impressed with myself today. So the last thing, 10 things to do every day. So the Sphinx was number 9, and the 10th one is spinal rotation. And in order to do that, we are going to take a little roll from your knees from side to side. I think I'm going to go this way. I'm going to show you this way first of all. So on hands and knees, we're going to do that thing that we were doing earlier, but a little bit easier now because we're already on our knees. So you're going to drop onto your hip. Just watch me a moment because you'll be facing the other way. We're going to roll across and then finish in this position here, and then come back the same way into the middle of your mat. In fact, I'm going to carry on facing this way, but just watch on the other side. So I'm dropping down onto my hip, rolling over, and then when you're here, you'll be able to see me. I'm bringing the top leg across, so we're into a cross leg position, and then rolling back the same way. In fact, I'm going to go this way. I think it's going to make more sense. So I'm facing the same way as you, so let's go the same side as me. So go down onto your right hip. You're going to be facing away from the camera for the moment. Open up the legs and then bring that right leg across. So you should be looking the same way as me. You should be in this corner. I've just got my back to you. I'm going to place my left hand on my right knee. I'm going to place my right hand behind my back, sitting up really nice and tall, and I'm going to look over my shoulder. So you're going to be looking away from me right now. And breathe. Good. I'm going to release that hand on that leg. I'm going to lift my legs, back feet together, knees are in the air. You're going to be looking away from me again. Coming down onto my right knee and back to face the front on both knees. Hopefully you followed all that. Let's try on the other side. So onto the left knee, away from me, roll all the way to the side, and then bring that left leg across. So you're sort of in this corner and should be here. So right hand is going to go across that left knee, left hand behind your back so that you sit really nice and upright, and then spiral round, look over that left shoulder. So you're looking away from me, away from the screen, trying to rotate around that spine. Release. Facing away, come back onto your knees, twiddle all the way around. Great job everyone, well done. So that's seated spinal rotation. If you fancy doing just like a little bit more, if you got a bit confused with that last movement, don't worry, it will come a bit more naturally the more we do it. But they can be done seated in a chair and just sitting around, or even seated as I am now. Just make sure your spine is nice and upright. Hopefully that all feels great for you. Take a little shoulder roll all the way back. And good job. Hopefully I will see you all again soon. Thank you very much.